Greetings, dear children. In this video, we will be learning Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, Act 4, Scene 1. Let's see how the plot develops in Act 4, Scene 1. The triumvirate formed. This is another unpleasant scene which takes place in a room in Mark Antony's house. The raging passion of the mob is now replaced by the cold-hearted ruthlessness of those who have profited by anarchy. In a play which highlights the concept of honor, the behavior of Antony here seems less than honorable. Brutus and Cassius have fled Rome, and in their place, the second triumvirate have gained power. Now let's learn more about this triumvirate. Triumvirate is the name used by the historians to refer to the joint rule of Mark Antony, Octavius Caesar, and Aemilius Lepidus. Antony and Octavius are together with Lepidus, and they were reading a list. They are purging Rome of those who led the coup which toppled Caesar. They are even trading their own relations as a number of those contempt grows larger. Lepidus is then sent to Caesar's house to fetch the will so that they can decide how to cut down the payment of some of the monies bequeathed by Caesar. Along with Octavius, Antony describes Lepidus as a slight, unmeritable man and a barren-spirited fellow, fit only to be the instrument for gaining full power. Octavius protests Antony has already treated Lepidus as an equal by giving him a say in the list of those to be condemned. Antony explains that they are using Lepidus to do their mean work and to take the blame for their unpopular decisions, and that later they will force him into unrewarded retirement. Again, Octavius protests, saying that Lepidus is a good soldier. He remarks that a tried and valiant soldier. But Antony insists that Lepidus is mere follower and imitator. It is clear that from this remark, it is well clear that Lepidus' days are numbered. The new set of conspirators are beginning to fall out, and the triumvirate will never last. When we look at the analysis of the scene, we see Antony leverages the newfound favor in the eyes of Romans to join the forces with Octavius, the next in line to succeed Caesar. According to Roman history, these three are the triumvirs who will jointly rule Rome in its new empire. As I told just before, a triumvir is one of the three officials forming a triumvirate to share public office in ancient Rome. The audience here gets a glimpse of what their rule will be like in the scene. Their deliberations are brief, to the point, and menacing. They don't think twice about marking a man to die if it benefits them, or of turning on Lepidus once he is out of the room. Antony even agrees to condemn his own nephew. An over-promising politician, he takes the money which he just offered the crowd and uses it to further his own ends. Why does he do so? He doesn't need the favor of the citizens anymore. Why? Because he has already won and he knows it very well. By contrast, Brutus and Cassius and the other senators repeatedly referenced friendship and love and sought moral justifications for their choices. The men in this scene act differently as politicians and warriors, willing to be cold-hearted. This is Rome's new ruling class, steadfast and filled with ambition like Caesar, only without Caesar's fervor to please the people. That makes Caesar different from these people. Let's begin. Antony, these many shall die their names are pricked. Antony is stating that many people are pricked. Their names are pricked, means marked for what? For execution. These many refer to the people who are to be purged as a part of the political settlement following Caesar's death. Your brother too must die, Octavius said to Lepidus. Do you consent? Octavius asked Lepidus if he agrees that his brother should also be executed as a part of purging Rome. What does it highlight? This action. This shows the ruthlessness of the triumvirs. Lepidus, without thinking much, he replied, yes, I do consent to that. Octavius instructed Antony to prick him down, instruct Antony to mark or sign off on his brother's execution, continuing the same cold-blooded process of eliminating the perceived threats. At this juncture, Lepidus reminded Antony about Publius' his sister's son, should also be pricked along with those many who are to be purged as a part of political settlement. Upon condition, Publius shall not live, who is a sister's son, Mark Antony. Lepidus proposes a condition that Publius, Antony's sister's son, his nephew, should also be killed. Here it shows that where even family is not exempt from the purge. Antony, how did he respond to this condition, this proposal? He shall not live. Look, with a spot I damn him. This is the reaction. Mark it. This is the key answer. With a spot I damn him. Antony agrees, shows his willingness to eliminate even his own relative if it serves the political purpose. The phrase, with a spot I damn him, suggests that Antony is willing to mark his relative, his nephew, for death with little hesitation or remorse. Just after this, he gives an important task to Lepidus to do. What is that task? Lepidus, here the first key answer, go you to Caesar's house. He asked Lepidus to go to Caesar's house, fetch the will hither as to get the will. We shall determine the third key answer, how to cut off some charge in legacies. 3 points, 3 marks. Antony gives Lepidus an important task to go to Caesar's house, retrieve, fetch Caesar's will. They plan to alter for what he's supposed to get the will. They have a plan to alter the will specifically by reducing the amounts of money or property bequeathed to the citizens, which we have already learned in the previous act. Lepidus, what shall I find you here? Lepidus asks whether he will find Octavius and Antony still present when he returns the same place. What does it tell about his role in this scene or in the triumvirs? This shows his role as a subordinate in their triumph. Then Octavius answers here or at the capital. What answer did he give is either here Antony's house, here, or at the capital. Replies that they will either be here or at the capital when Lepidus returns. This shows the control Octavius and Antony now have over Roman politics. And we see Lepidus exit. What remark does Antony make about Aemilius Lepidus at this juncture? It's very important. His opinion or a comment or a remark. Antony, what remark does he make about Lepidus? This is a slight unmeritable man, me to be sent on errands. Is it fit? Then he expresses a doubt. From here it is. Is it fit, the threefold world divided, he should stand one of the three to share it? So Antony disparages Lepidus, calling him an unworthy man, slight, unmeritable man, who is only fit for such errands, such tasks, sending errands. Antony questions he expresses his doubt and he questions whether someone as unremarkable as Lepidus should hold such a powerful position as one of the three rulers of the Roman world. The threefold world, the Roman Empire was divided into three areas, into the areas of Asia, Europe, and Africa. Who divide the Roman Empire? These three men divide the Roman Empire between them. Is it fit? This is the doubt he expressed. Is it fit? The threefold world divided, should he here refers to Lepidus, should stand one of the three to share it. What response Octavius here he gives is, so you thought him, and took his voice, who should be fit to die in our black sentence and proscription. Octavius reminds Mark Antony that they previously trusted Lepidus enough to include him in the triumvirate and accept his opinion, means his voice. Accept his opinion means his voice for what? In the decision, including who should be pricked to die in our black sentence and proscription. The black sentence and proscription here refers to the execution and the formal condemnation of people who are to be killed. You thought about him and his voice will be considered. You thought about him. Octavius reminded Mark Antony that they previously trusted Lepidus and considered one among them. Antony responds, Octavius, I have seen more days than you, and though we lay these honors on this man refers to Lepidus, to ease ourselves of divers slanderous lords, he shall but bear them as the ass bears gold, to groan and sweat under the business, either led or driven, as we point the way, and having brought our treasure where we will, then take we down his law and turn him off, like to the empty ass, to shake his ears and graze in commons. Antony here begins by asserting his seniority over Octavius, claiming that he has lived longer and thus he has more experience. I have seen more days than you. Claiming that he lived longer and he has more experience than Octavius. Further, he speaks about Lepidus. He talks about Lepidus being given, why these honors are given to him. Why? From here the answer begins. To ease ourselves of diverse slanderous laws. He says that only to relieve the triumvirs of the slanderous laws, the negative public opinion or the burden of ruling. Antony further compares Lepidus to a donkey and ass bearing gold. This line, comparison, Lepidus is compared to that of an ass bearing gold. He carries the weight. Weight here refers to the gold, or the weight here refers to the responsibilities. To groan, what does he do when he bears gold? He groans and sweats under the business. But he gets no real reward for it, either led or driven, as we point the way. Just okay, as the donkey would carry the load without getting any benefit from it. The donkey is carrying the valuable, the precious gold, but the donkey never gets the benefit of it. Only this animal, the ass, groans and sweats under the burden, and Lepidus, in Antony's view, is similarly subjugated and will be used by them until they no longer need them, having brought as our treasure where we will, then we take down his lord, then we will, once they achieve their goal, take down, what do? They will discard him. Like what? Like to an empty ass to shake his ears, like this. Last two lines. And graze in commons, that no longer needed after the load is unloaded. They will just discard him just like a donkey that is no longer needed because the Lord is already here in front of them. It did work perfectly. Now the precious gold is in their hand, Octavius and Antony. Now the help of Lepidus is no longer needed. Turn him off like to an empty ass. Comparison here. The image of donkey shaking the ears and grazing in commons suggests that Lepidus, what does it highlight? Lepidus will be left to wander aimlessly and live a humble life once they have used him. This is the plan of Antony. How does Octavius respond to this suggestion? You may do your will, but he is a tried and a valiant soldier. Octavius counters Antony's view by defending Lepidus, calling him a tried and valiant soldier. He acknowledges Lepidus' contributions to their cause, suggesting that Lepidus has proven himself in battle, thus still deserving some respect and value. But Antony says that, so is my horse, Octavius, and for that I do appoint him store of provender. It is a creature that I teach to fight, to whine, to stop, to run directly on, his corporal motion governed by my spirit, and in some taste is Lepidus but so. He must be taught and trained and bid go forth, a barren spirited fellow, one that feeds on objects, arts, and imitations, which, out of use and stale by other men, begin his fashion. Do not talk of him. Antony dismisses Octavius' defense by comparing Lepidus to a horse. A horse is also can be a valiant fighter in the battle, but it is ultimately just an animal under the control of its rider, and its purpose is to serve rider's will. This is the purpose of the horse in the battle. And then he says that he appoints him the store of provender, meaning that he provides for Lepidus' needs, as just one would feed and care for a horse. But this does not lift up the horse. Here it is Lepidus to the position of real power. He doesn't deserve the power, though providing the needs. Antony compares Lepidus' value to a trained animal. He can be taught and directed, but is not independent. I teach to fight, whine, stop, and run directly on, but his corporal motions governed by my spirit, the rider. And in some taste is Lepidus. The same is the case of Lepidus as well. So in Antony's view, Lepidus has no will of his own, because his actions are controlled by others, much like the horses, its movements are controlled by the rider. Lepidus' actions are controlled by others. Antony goes further, claiming that Lepidus is a barren spirited fellow. He must be taught, trained, and bid go forth. That means Lepidus' actions are controlled by others. He does not have a will or decision of his own. Further, he calls him barren spirited fellow, and meaning he lacks originality and depth of character. Then objects, arts, and imitations. He does not create or innovate, but merely imitates, copies what others do. Over time, this imitation becomes stale and loses its value. Antony closes by telling Octavius not to talk about Lepidus anymore, clearly expressing his disdain for him, because he is not worthy of further consideration in Antony's eyes. But as a property, Antony is continuing his earlier thought about Lepidus, emphasizing Lepidus is is being used merely as a property, a tool, with no real value outside of serving their needs. And now Octavius, the topic is changed here. Stop discussing about Lepidus. He gave his opinion. According to Antony's opinion, how does he consider Lepidus in one among the triumvirs? His remark to be learned, the comment to be learned as it is. Octavius, listen, great things. Antony now shifts the conversation to something more important. Great things. More urgent. He tells Octavius to pay attention to some important news. Brutus and Cassius. What is that great things? From here the answer begins. Brutus and Cassius are levying powers. Antony informs Octavius that Brutus and Cassius, the leaders of the conspiracy who killed Caesar, are raising their armies, levying powers. They are preparing to fight against the triumvirs. The triumvirs here, Mark Antony, Octavius Caesar, and Aemilius Lepidus, signaling an imminent civil war. So what should they do? We must straight make head. Therefore, let our alliance be combined, our best friends made, our means stretched. Let us presently go sit in the council, how covert matters may be best disclosed and open perils surest answered. Till here you can learn. So, this is the instruction. We must straight make head. This means that they must act quickly and prepare for this conflict. Make head means to assemble or organize their force, as in making a strong front against the threat. Antony stresses the importance of solidifying their political alliances as well. He suggests that they need to combine forces and secure the support of their best friends, get the support of the friends, allies, as well as make use of the available resources. That means, stretch means the available resources. Antony proposes that they should immediately hold a council meeting to discuss their strategy. Covert matters refers to the, here, how covert matters refers to the secret or hidden issues likely involving their political and military plans. Antony wants to figure out how best manage these secrets and make sure that sensitive matters are handled wisely. Open perils, surest answered refers to dealing the obvious dangers or threats. Antony is suggesting that they need to make sure that they have a clear plan to respond to these immediate visible dangers. Visible dangers here, the open perils here refers to Brutus and Cassius rising their forces. And Octavius answered, let us do so, for we are at the stake and bayed about with many enemies, and some that smile have in their hearts, I fear, millions of mischief. Octavius agrees with Antony's proposal to form an alliance and prepare for action. He is fully on board with the idea of holding a council and organizing or planning their next step. We are at the stake is a metaphor that suggests that they are in a dangerous position, as though they are about to be executed or are on the verge of great personal loss. The stake refers to the idea of being in life or death situation, as though they are about to be burnt at the stake, symbolizing a vulnerable, perilous moment. And bayed about with many enemies. The phrase bayed about refers to being surrounded or hunted like animal, that is trapped or surrounded by baying hounds. Already we have learned. Caesar was brought to bay. The phrase here refers to being surrounded or hunted like an animal, that is trapped or surrounded by the hounds. Octavius feels encircled by the enemies, suggesting that the triumvirs are under siege from all sides. And some that smile have in their hearts, I fear millions of mischief. Here Octavius expresses his concern about the duplicity of some of their allies or enemies. He fears that people who outwardly seem friendly smile. They smile, that means outwardly very friendly they are, may secretly harbor ill intention, millions of mischief they will have. This shows Octavius' paranoia and growing distrust of others, highlighting the treacherous nature of the current political environment in which he finds himself. He fears betrayal from those who appear to be allies. And we see Octavius leaves the scene, likely to prepare for the council of further action. Thank you, children.